pack at NC State suffered from an average year last year in Tom O'Brien's third year. Now he enters his fourth with Russell Wilson at the helm. He is a versatile quarterback, and he has two weapons at his disposal. Owen Spencer, the premier long man in the NCAA, who led with over 25 yards per catch in the NCAA. Jarvis Williams, school record, 11 touchdowns. He led the ACC with that. So he's got 2 targets, but running back is a question mark. Curtis Underwood's slated to start, and R.J. Matz, one of few experienced linemen return.
Yeah, interior offensive line is also a concern. You team that up with questions at the running back spot, losing Baker, talented running back they had last season. Then you have a lot of questions on offense. But they also have to look at tight end George Bryant, all ACC. He's part of an experienced wide receiving core, an impressive group. So if they can get that offense, the interior offensive line, to straighten out and find a true running back, then they'll be fine on offense.
Well, the offense looked great last year, but the defense allowed the most points in the conference. In the ACC, Nate Irving was lost for the year in that terrible car accident. He hurt his leg, so he was out. But he's back this year to clog up the middle with Audi Cole, and they have 4 new defensive linemen, so maybe this is a better change for them. And cornerback C.J. Wilson is going to lead their secondary.
Well, I'm looking at how Wilson and Smith improved on their freshman year and come in as a sophomore and respond to what they did last year. So they're going to be impressive. 2 young guys back there in the secondary. Also, you mentioned getting Nate Irving back is going to be a huge plus for that defense. He was slated to start and be a tremendous playmaker, probably all conference, but injured himself before the season. And the defensive end group can be a surprise unit on that defense. And you look at no more than Michael Lemon to come in and probably provide a spark that Willie Young provided last season.
Wake Forest Demon Deacons are coming off a 5-7 year, and Jim Grobe entering his 10th year already. But what a job he has done to keep this program afloat. Quarterback Skylar Jones is fending off Ted Stakitis right now for quarterback. They have a couple good running backs, and Josh Adams, who was great earlier in his career, and Brandon Pendergrass, who has a lot of experience. Marshall Williams, their top receiver, was a second-team All-Conference player. Right guard Joe Looney leads 2 starting returning on the offensive line. But in 06, when they were really good and made it to the BCS bowl game, they were averaging 150 yards per game. That was down to 132 last year, so they really need to get the run up there.
Well, keep an eye on running back Willie Dixon, 5'11", 222, a guy with sprinter speed. He's probably listed 3rd on the depth chart, but they're going to give him some ticks because he has that power to run inside and has that speed to take the distance. They do have some outstanding receivers in Williams and Brown, but it all depends on the quarterback play and the O-line play. So who's going to replace Raleigh Skinner is my biggest question. Can they find somebody to step up and be a leader like Skinner was for the Demon Deacons?
Well, not only has their rush offense declined gradually, but their rush defense was the lowest in terms of yards per carry given up, 4.5 yards per carry. That's the lowest since 2003. They gave up over 26 points per game, so it was a problem. Linebackers Matt Woodleaf and Joe Ehrman need to man up the linebacking core. Defensive end Tristan Doherty will be counted upon to get to the quarterback, but a bright spot on the defense was cornerback Kenny Okoro, second-team freshman All-American, 11 pass breakups and 3 interceptions.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see Okoro's progression as a cornerback, and he's going to be one of those dynamite playmakers for the Demon Deacons. You mentioned Tristan Doherty. Can he build on an impressive sophomore season coming into his junior campaign? And the linebackers and DBs need to regain that swagger that they had. Wake Forest used to come in with a swagger on defense, and it's evident by a lot of their players getting selected throughout the NFL draft, a lot of first-round picks. They have to regain that swagger in order to have teams in the ACC fear the Demon Deacons when they come to play.
Now let's head over to the Coastal Division, where the Duke Blue Devils still have not gotten to a bowl game since 1994, but the program took some strides under third-year head coach David Cutcliffe. 5-7 this year, 9 starters back on offense, but a new signal caller in Sean Renfrey. Desmond Scott returns as a sophomore at running back. Donovan Varner, first-team All-ACC, 50 receptions, and 2 more receivers had 50 receptions on their team. Left tackle Kyle Hill returns with 4 starters. They really need to get that rush yards per game up from 64 points per game. And they have a place kicker, Will Snyderwine, second-team All-Conference. He was 17 of 20 from field goal.
Well, the O-line is the biggest trend, a huge trend led by center Brian Morgan. So that helps out whoever's going to be back there, quarterback Renfrey, the freshman, well, not the freshman, the incoming quarterback replacing Thaddeus Lewis. So you look at the running back, keep an eye on Josh Snead, redshirt freshman, might come in and start. They finished dead last in rushing last year, 120 ranked rush offense. So Cutcliffe wants to get that back up to speed, back in like the 60s and up. Also, the wide receiving core is an outstanding group. The cover's not bare. They have a lot of talent at wide receiver, so that's going to help out Renfrey along with their solid offensive line.
And only 19 sacks on the defensive side of the ball was good for only 11th in the ACC, so they really need to pressure the quarterback. Nose guard Charlie Hatcher will be dependent upon. Linebackers Damian Thornton, Abe Chroma need to rush the quarterback, and cornerback Chris Rua Bukama is their cornerback, who is probably going to be matched up with the #1 receiver.
Well, I'm interested to see, can Johnny Williams make the switch from receiver to cornerback, because he's moving over there this season. He's going to likely start alongside, so that's going to be interesting to watch his development. D-line has some major holes, and linebackers can't afford any injuries because there's no depth behind. There's a lot of freshmen and sophomores on this defense. It's going to be a real tough year for Duke defensively if anybody gets
Georgia Tech, the defending Coastal Division champions. They won the ACC championship, but lost to Iowa as favorites in the Orange Bowl. A little bit disappointing for the second year in a row for a bowl game. Paul Johnson now enters his third year as head coach / offensive coordinator, and you know he runs that flex bone option offense. 33.8 points per game, first in the ACC. He's got quarterback Josh Nesbitt back, but Dwyer's out. Here comes Anthony Allen, the bigger back, Roddy Jones, the run around your running back, and Sean Bedford, first team All ACC, leads offensive line, 295 yards per game rushing last year. They only allowed 12 sacks. That's because they don't pass the ball too much.
And they're not rebuilding the offensive line. They're reloading. You look at guard Nick McCray, a talented playmaker for interior offensive line play. So they're just reloading that offensive line. And Anthony Allen is going to be a tremendous running back. He's better suited to be that B-back anyway. So think back to when he was at Louisville, how outstanding he was early in his career. So he's going to have tremendous numbers this season. And you want to see Josh Nesbitt's progression as a passer. That's going to help open up that offense tremendously. If he can improve as a passer over 45%, if he can complete, that's going to be outstanding, and that's going to be even scarier for defenses to try to stop.
Well, 8 returning starters for new defensive coordinator Al Groh, former UVA head coach. They were giving up almost 5 yards per carry last year, over 150 yards per game, and the secondary didn't play too well either, giving up 61.6% completion rating for opposing quarterbacks, the highest since 2003. Good thing is he has linebacker Brad Jefferson back, their leading tackler. He's a stud, and they got a talented secondary in cornerbacks Mario Butler and Gerard Tarrant.
Well, they do have a solid DB in Mario Butler, outstanding playmaker in that secondary. You mentioned Brad Jefferson. Expect him to explode this year because they move him to the 3-4. That's going to maximize his talent, maximize his potential. And the 3-4 defense for Georgia Tech takes better advantage of their talented group of linebackers. So this is going to be a tremendous defense, a different looking defense. You know, Al Groh had Virginia's defense ranked top half of the conference, top half in the country, and always had pro players selected out their defense. So expect to see a lot of production out of Georgia Tech. They're going to stop the run this year.